What's up everybody and welcome to another episode of Raudeza Reviews. I'm Raudeza. Now I actually did the footage for this figure way back in October and I just never got around to it. I'm trying to finalize a schedule for certain things, but again, I got a lot of stuff in storage that I'm finally pulling out that I want to review, so just bear with me guys, I got a lot of things going on right now. Nevertheless, as you know, I'm a huge Star Wars fan and Hot Toys is doing some incredible things, whether it's figures from The Mandalorian. I love the Ahsoka figure. Most importantly, the Book of Boba Fett. I've got Fennec coming up, so there's a lot of things that I'm going to be reviewing in the next couple of weeks, so to speak. I just got to get the figures out, do the footage, you know, the whole production value. It's really a one-man show here, so I really got to do all this stuff, and it takes a little while, guys. So just bear with me. I will get to all these figures because I think they're really cool, and I want to give you an option or a perspective on whether or not you think these figures are for you, or if you should pass on some of these figures. Now, I do have some product updates from Hot Toys, and thankfully my prayers have been answered. We are definitely getting a Hera Syndulla, and she's up for pre-order now, along with Sabine Wren, which is really cool. And if you are a fan of those two characters, definitely pre-order them now, because they are quite popular since we've seen them in the show and then now in live action. So it is what it is, guys. Just, you know, hurry up and get them if you want them. Now, say what you will about The Mandalorian, and I know that people have got feelings about the show, and, you know, some of it is rightful criticism, whatnot, but nevertheless, I will say this. Nobody can say that they didn't, like, completely drop their shorts and piss themselves when they saw Luke Skywalker come out and basically save everybody and freaking house all those super droid robots. I mean, that was one of the pinnacle moments in the series. It was so freaking badass, guys. I think it brought a smile and a smirk to everybody's face who was a fan of Luke Skywalker. Don't try to deny it, man. If you don't like The Mandalorian, you have to admit, as a Star Wars fan, that was one of the freaking coolest moments in The Mandalorian, and because of that, it just made it an epic show just because of that. So finally, today we're going to be reviewing Hot Toys version of Luke Skywalker from The Mandalorian, the Deluxe Special Edition version, 1/6 scale figure. Let's take a closer look. I remember my dad getting really mad at me because I was actually that kid that watched Return of the Jedi from the video store so much that I actually broke the tape. It happened. I was a huge Star Wars fan. And I will always remember Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker, and this head sculpt is a brilliant recreation. Love the countenance in the face, even the imperfections, even if after he had the accident, you still see that in this sculpt, which is really brilliant. The hair sculpt is done very well, and I love how intricately it's sculpted. The attention to detail here is really quite well done, and of course it's a deluxe figure, so you would expect that. I think for me, of all the costumes that Mark Hamill donned in the entire saga, the one on Hoth and definitely Return of the Jedi's robe was my favorite because it just looks so badass. You know, sometimes good guys do wear black, which is really cool. Now, of course, this is a Hot Toys figure, so the materials are very exquisite. Everything looks very well done here. And most importantly, I like the belt buckle because it is actual metal, which is really nice. And then you see the hinge along his belt line where you can actually attach the lightsaber when it's not being used, so that's a really nice detail, and I think it gives you another option in which to display the figure. Now, the lower section of this piece is very interesting and very impressive to a fault. Now, as you can see, the trousers again are very high quality, but what I want to focus is on the boot. Now, the boot is not only exquisitely done, but there's a lot of malleability there. Just take a look at how I have posed it. The ball joint system really lends itself to this boot, and you can really manipulate it so that you can get some epic poses, and that's why it looks a little bit goofy like that, but it's just a testament to how they engineered this figure. Now, of course, the lightsaber is just one of several accessories, and this is a very iconic lightsaber at this point. Even if you're not a Star Wars fan, you're familiar with this lightsaber. It is incredibly detailed. The hilt is very well done, and the saber is nice. It's the green iconic saber that is very well known to Luke Skywalker, but just the detail in the hilt, the silver, the gold, the color palettes, the offset of the black, it's just exquisitely done. And I have to say, for this scale, I mean, to put this much detail into it, it's pretty incredible. Now, I would say you wouldn't necessarily have to run out and mirror this piece, mostly because of the color palette and the robe. I mean, it's pretty uniform at this point. Don't get me wrong, it's exquisite in terms of the materials, but it's just a little bit kind of bland. I don't know, it's hard to describe. He just looks like a pillar from the reverse side. I mean, again, there's not too much detail in it, but it doesn't mean that it's not exquisite nonetheless. But you don't really need to mirror this piece, guys. It looks very monolithic at this point. Now, the Hot Toys figures are getting pretty much standard in terms of the overall base. They're basically big slabs that the figures can actually stand on, but they're far better than what they used to be. This one does read on the lip of the base Star Wars and of course Luke Skywalker, although there is no moniker or there is no differentiation between a regular Skywalker figure, I guess, and the Mandalorian version. I don't think that's really necessary, but nevertheless we have it, and we all know what version of Luke Skywalker this is, so I don't think it's a very big deal. Now, included in the deluxe special edition set of this figure is this super hyper droid. I can't remember what the name of it is called. It is very detailed, and I really like what they did in terms of how it's being crushed and essentially being imploded. As we know, Luke Skywalker came in and just lightsabered the crap out of all these droids, but this poor bastard probably got the worst of it, and maybe his dark side started to take over and he just crushed the hell out of it, so it's pretty cool. Now, you also get this like plexiglass stand type of thing, which is really nice because the effect is like it's floating in the air. The base has got a very small footprint. Overall, it's pretty cool, though one thing I am a little bit critical of. For some reason, I thought this being the deluxe edition that we would actually get a light up feature, and I haven't been able to find it, and maybe you guys know, or if you want to leave a comment in the comments section if yours lights up, but I didn't see where it actually lit up, which is a real disappointment because that would have looked awesome. I mean, again, it's very detailed, but I think it needed that light up feature. You know, Grogu is starting to be like a Mogwai. He seems to pop up everywhere, like with every figure that he has been in the show with, Ahsoka, the Mandalorian, and of course now Luke Skywalker. He just comes out as an accessory. I've got so many of these things at this point that, you know, they're just like rabbits. They're all over the place on my desk, but nevertheless, it's cool, and this is not a new iteration of it. I think it's just a recycled figure, but whatever, I got it. He's adorable. He comes with the packaging. It's all good. I like it. I'm not complaining about it. Now, of course, like I said, this is the deluxe special edition version, so you do get some extra accessories. I think this one is probably the coolest one, which is the hologram communicator, and you actually see the hologram of the ship that they're in right before they're about to be massacred by these super droids. But then, of course, you get that signal, and if you guys haven't watched the show, please watch it already. This is kind of a spoiler. You get this signal because Grogu calls out, he uses his Force sense, and he calls out, and you see the X-Wing fly in. It's really cool, guys. Why haven't you watched this show? Now, of course, just very similar to other deluxe offerings, you do get the light-up version of the lightsaber. One of the cool things is that it is actually pretty bright. I tested it out, and it's pretty bright, though I just put it back into the packaging. And of course, you get that wedge shape effect for the lightsaber so that you can simulate, you know, basically swinging it. It does come with the PERS system, so you do have the little PERS device. And of course, thank God Hot Toys does this because these batteries are a pain in the ass to find. But you do get a set of batteries, so you don't have to go run out and look for these things. And I'm always very, very just grateful that Hot Toys includes this with the figure. You know, the power of editing is pretty incredible, especially if you have a forgetful mind like mine is sometimes. So rounding out the last bit of accessories are 2 additional hands for Grogu, 9 additional hands for Luke Skywalker, 10 if you want to include the actual electronic or the battery powered lightsaber. 4 of them are basically without the glove on, and then the other 5 are with the glove. So there's a lot in terms of the overall posability of this figure and how you want to actually pose it, which is really awesome and gives you a lot of options. And finally, and mostly because I get a lot of shit for not displaying it, but you do get this backdrop, which again, they're really improving their resolution in terms of how they print these things or how they put them onto the cardboard or whatever the material it is that they're using. I actually think this one really works because of how static it is, and you know, when he's coming into that ship, I think it's just much more conducive to a diorama kind of motif, and it's gonna work in this case. So if you like those things, this is actually pretty cool. You know, there's kind of a funny, interesting history to this figure in that Hot Toys actually released a legitimate Return of the Jedi Luke Skywalker figure that wasn't part of the Mandalorian universe at the time, and that thing went very quickly. So if you try to find it on eBay right now, you're going to find some crazy ass prices. If you want to own a Luke Skywalker in the Return of the Jedi costume, even if you don't mind that it's part of the Mandalorian universe, and you want to get a special edition deluxe set, then I definitely recommend this one. And I have to say, it is a holy grail piece just for that, because I can tell you right now, I've gone on eBay and I've seen those ridiculous prices for the original offering of the Return of the Jedi figure, and it's just crazy. So definitely, if you want this one, pick it up because it is a really cool figure and a really great substitute for the original Return of the Jedi figure. So definitely pick this one up. Alright everybody, so that's my official review on Hot Toys version of the Deluxe Special Edition Luke Skywalker from The Mandalorian, the 1/6 scale figure. As always, I thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next Raudeza Reviews.